Welcome to Common Sense. The Common Sense program is a series of shows that feature interviews with very interesting people so that we can learn in a clear, concise, and direct way who these folks are, what they do, and what makes sense to them and what doesn't. I'm Rudy Breglia, and today I'll be interviewing the wise, compassionate, award-winning author and founder of the Hope for B.E.S.T, B.E.S.T. Yeager. Lori, welcome to the Common Sense Show.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, and thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
Okay. Well, why don't you start us off? Give us some background. Where were you born? Where have you lived? What brings you to this part of Ohio?
Sure. Yes, I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then my parents moved us to Fairview, Pennsylvania, and then I've lived in several other states throughout my young adult.
Okay.
And then finally ended up back in Ohio. My husband, his career, we followed his career, so
Okay.
been here now for 21 years.
Oh, all right. Tell us about your experience growing up as a triplet in a large family.
Large family, yes, one of six, but I'm one of triplets. My two brothers are identical. It was wonderful. The three of us were very, very close growing up. We hung out with the same group of friends. They were the football player. I was the cheerleader.
Wonderful.
It was great.
Okay. Where did you develop your religious beliefs and sense of compassion for others? Did you have a role model?
Yes, my parents, but mainly my mom.
Okay.
My mom is just a very giving, kind, compassionate person. They didn't have much growing up, but was always giving. And they provided us and planted a seed with our faith. And so I do think that that is the bottom line of you plant that seed and then it just grows. It remains in you as you get older.
I love Mom. So
Yeah.
tell us about your family's tragedy.
So in 2018, I lost my triplet brother, Dan. My maiden name is B.E.S.T, Dan B.E.S.T, to death by suicide.
Understand. What immediate effects did Dan's suicide have on you and your family, especially his identical brother, Tim?
We were just, it's a shock, right? Like I say, I make this statement that the minute we're born, we know that we are inevitably going to pass away. However, suicide is such a different level because while you're living, you instinctively want to keep living. You avoid death. And so it was just a shock. It was like, why and how? And my brother, Tim, the identical one, and being triplets does make it different. There is such a bond between all of us. And I will say he's my hero because he just took it as, okay, this is what we have to do. We're going to take care of the family. We're going to learn from this. We're going to grow from this. And he struggled with it, but he also kind of became the lead in dealing with it with my nephews.
Understand. Were the unanswered whys a big part of your grief?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just why? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
At what stage in your grief did you decide to write your book titled By All Means, Just Say It? And we have it right here.
Actually, pretty early on, I didn't know that I was going to write a book, but early on I wasn't sleeping, and I was just continuously being awake. And so finally, at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I have a strong faith. I just said to God, "What do you want from me? I'm awake for some reason," and then just words just continuously, weeks and months after that, just coming in my head, and I would write them down, and eventually I would talk to my husband and kids about it, and they'd say, "Why aren't you publishing this? Why aren't you?" And so then I decided, okay, I guess I'm publishing a book, which was never on my roadmap.
Okay.
But
all right. Tell us about your inspirational book.
So I named it By All Means, Just Say It, because I think that we as humans, have a lot of thoughts that enter our brains constantly. And some of them are important, some of them are not, and then some of them are sad. And some of us are afraid to talk or discuss those thoughts. And so I just thought, wow, let's take all these writings that I've been given by God to write, put it in a book so that people can open up about their silent thoughts.
Understand. Could you read us an excerpt
Oh,
from the book
yes, I would love
as an
to.
example?
Yes, yes, yes. This one is seasons can often bring upon change, offering new perspective in exchange. A colorful fall foliage may lose its leaves, only to spring back with new life to receive. So, whatever season you are in, look for new possibilities to begin.
Wow. Thank you. Did writing help your prayerful journey and give you purpose?
Absolutely. In writing, I found, and I didn't know this at the time, but I would say later, I then thought, oh my gosh, I'm healing through this. It
Okay.
was a source of
Yeah.
healing for me.
Okay. What led you to start your nonprofit called the Hope for B.E.S.T? And B.E.S.T is an anagram. It means be the end to silent thoughts.
Yeah. So after I decided to put together and publish this book, I thought, well, this is great. Then I can take the proceeds from the sale of the book to help with programs.
Understand.
And then I thought, I don't know, the train had left the station. It was like, well, that's not enough. I need to do more. I need to do more. So then I decided to start the Hope for Best.
Okay. What is the mission statement for your nonprofit?
So the mission statement is to bring hope to those who are silently suffering and give them the courage to speak their thoughts.
Okay. Tell us about silent thoughts.
So silent thoughts, I'm sure it could mean many things to different people, but where the Hope for Best goes with this is that we all have thoughts in our heads, in our brains that, yes, some should be kept silent, but ones that we are struggling with that need to be spoken out and not to be afraid to be spoken out. We should have the capacity and the willingness and not be afraid to speak those silent thoughts when we're struggling about something.
Okay. What are examples of silent thoughts that people are reluctant, too afraid, or ashamed to speak about? Is sharing silent thoughts like an antidote?
Oh, absolutely. And you like to give one example is, like if you have somebody who has like an eating disorder,
Okay.
and so the way that their brain works,
Yeah.
it's different than somebody else who's not struggling from that. Yes, you might have a broken arm and we all see that and we can sympathize with you. But when we have these silent thoughts of maybe addictions and whatever addiction that is, we don't necessarily see it, but
It's
it's
in there.
real. It's
Yeah.
in there.
Why are these thoughts like cancer?
Because they're unseen. And cancer can live in you, and you may not know it until it really has taken full effect. And it's quiet, and what happens is it's in you, and then it spreads,
Just like cancer.
just like
Yeah.
cancer.
How do you speak to the silence that needs to be heard?
It's opening up. It's not being afraid. It's speaking out. It's like what I wrote. If you get a chance to read any of the excerpts from my book, it's a raw book, and there's stuff in there that people don't like to talk about or feel uncomfortable to talk about.
Okay.
But it's okay to talk about it. So it's speaking to that silence and saying, no, I am going to talk about it.
Okay. Uh, why are thoughts a battlefield of information, and how can we be affected by them?
Oh gosh, we are giving, I forget what the quote is, but I think it's over 30,000 thoughts a day. And some of them are important, some are not important, some are meaningful, and some are not meaningful. And so it's a battlefield of determining what thoughts do I need to move forward with and what thoughts can I say, okay, I don't need to move forward with this thought.
Okay. Why do mental health struggles have a negative stigma in our society?
I think because if you're not struggling with that disease, disorder, or whatever mental health that is, we kind of look at it like something's wrong with that person. But it's just because we're not we're not in that, or maybe you might have a child that has something going on. And so you're living it, but people who aren't living it, they think, oh, what's wrong with that person?
Okay. Understand how that works. Uh, what are some other mental health struggles that really can be put in the same category as suicide? You mentioned addiction
Oh,
before.
addiction, absolutely. Or even eating disorders. You know, people who have like eating disorders, they're slowly harming themselves and may die as a result of that, as well as, you know, addictions to alcohol, drugs. It is a mental state.
What are some other mental health struggles? Uh, I said that. What are some typical healthy ways of dealing with negative thoughts and negative effects of social media?
Wow. I think one, especially the social media part, I think it's not only our children, but limiting it and realizing that it's not all real, and avoiding trying to, because social media in and of itself can also become an addiction.
Okay.
And so I think just, I know I'm kind of playing a lot on the social media, but social media I think is so impactful, and especially to our youth, and not all of it's real. And so limiting what you're reading and what you're watching, I think is so important.
How about handling bullying when it occurs?
I think for one, if you're seeing it, if you're an adult or like even students, I've had where I've seen students even speak up. Be on that person's side. That person needs a friend, and they need to know that what that other person is doing is not right. And even for adults, it's sadly enough, there's adults out there that see it and let it happen. And it's being able to say, no, that's not okay, what you just said to that person.
And someone speaking up just at
Exactly.
that moment
Hmm.
would be
Yep.
beneficial.
And especially the person who's being bullied, they may not speak up, but if you're seeing it, say something.
Okay. Uh, what are mental health awareness school programs for staff and students that your nonprofit has funded?
So we've done several things. One was a school backpack program that was for students who lived in communities that didn't have access to resources, um, which was great. So we provided those students with backpacks during the summer months.
Okay.
And then we did also some type of executive functioning with parents and students, learning how to have a goal and how to move forward. And then we did parent seminars.
Okay. Understand. What are men's mental health reminders and what is their importance?
For men,
Yes.
I think, wow, that I think it could really go for men, women,
Yeah.
and children. Is it's just taking care of yourself, being there for one another, showing respect.
Understand. What events has your nonprofit managed or are planning for funding school programs?
So in the last 3 years, I've done a annual canine walk in the city of Avon,
Okay.
and that's fun. We get the dogs involved, and it's been successful. But I'm gonna like not reinvent the wheel, but maybe just kind of fix little spokes. This September, September 20th, we'll be holding the Hope for Best Family Fest over at the Avon Aquatics parking lot, and there
Okay.
will be live music and food trucks, and it's in games, carnival type games for
Okay,
the
so
kids.
this is next year in
This will be,
2025.
yes, yep. Every September, the Hope for Best holds an event.
Okay. Why are you concentrating your efforts on children?
I think we need to plant the seed early so that as they're growing up, they know that it's okay, that they're not okay.
Yeah.
You know, we got to plant that seed early for them so that they know it's okay, and then they have the resources and tools as they're getting older and dealing with the stresses of life that we all have.
Yes.
Then they have the resources and tools to work around those.
Okay. What immediate and longer term resources are available on your website?
We have several. We have the crisis hotline, the suicide prevention
Okay.
crisis hotline, the local NAMI, Lakota Way, the local Mars, Ohio.
Okay. Do you accept donations or volunteers for your efforts?
Absolutely, yes. So the donations can be done. There's a Venmo that's on the website,
Okay.
and there's also the volunteers we do utilize definitely the day of the event.
Okay. How can people get a copy of your wonderful book?
Oh, thank you so much. On Amazon, and
Okay.
we also sell it the day of the event too.
Okay. How can you be contacted?
I have an email. My
Okay.
email is Lori at thehopefourbest.com.
Okay. And your website address?
www.thehopefourbest.com.
Okay. And I think they'll be appearing on the bottom of the screen. In summary, what makes sense to you and what doesn't?
What makes sense to me is that we need to provide resources for our youth as well as adults so that they can learn and have the tools to work through the struggles in life. That makes
Okay.
sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is the stigma that goes around mental health, because there's not one person that is immune from some type of mental health, anxiety, stress. We all have it. So why are we pretending that we don't, or that I'm better than you, or that does not make sense to me, the stigma.
Well, I've heard it said that we're all on the spectrum, and it's
Amen.
just a question of where we are.
Yep.
Now, bless you and your organization for what you're doing. And I'm very happy that the local Knights of Columbus Council has given your organization $1,000 for your work.
Yes, it was greatly appreciated. Sincerely, you have no idea what it means and how that money is going to be used to help.
Okay, well, bless you. And thank you for watching. Please give us feedback on the show. If you would like to be interviewed on the show, please let us know. Or if you know some interesting people, give us their contact information and we'll proceed from there. And remember that seatbelts save lives.